A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media, I think. Let me just... Yep, Hugh from Plaguelands Media. Bringing you another kind of comic book look. We are continuing our Star Wars month because, of course, November 1978 was when the Star Wars Holiday Special first aired on CBS in America. So we are making November Star Wars month. I am looking at Volume 1 of Star Wars Princess Leia by Marvel Comics. This collects the first 5 issues of the Princess Leia comic book. This was released after Disney purchased Lucasfilm, so it is canon. And I have to say, straight off the bat, it's pretty fucking good. I mean, it's a Princess Leia comic. You're like, how good can it be? It's pretty fucking good. So sit back, relax, enjoy the next episode of... So this is Star Wars Princess Leia, Volume 1. The graphic novel collecting the first 5 issues of the Princess Leia comic from Marvel. These are in fact canon in the Star Wars universe. So let's jump straight in. As you can see, fantastic art. So we have our little crawl here. Princess Leia is a time of both hope and mourning with the rebellion. While on a secret mission to deliver stolen plans for the Death Star to the Rebel Alliance, Princess Leia Organa was captured by the Galactic Empire and forced to witness the battle station's power as it destroyed her home planet of Alderaan. With the help of a farm boy pilot and a fast-talking smuggler, Leia escaped her captors and completed her mission. Using the plans, the Alliance was able to destroy the Empire's ultimate weapon. This, of course, is the plot of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Having proven themselves a formidable enemy to the Empire, the rebels are in more danger now than ever, leaving them with little time to celebrate their triumph or lament their loss. Okay, so the story picks up directly at the end of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, where Leia has presented the medals to Luke and Han and Chewie. All of these kind of famous things, but you know, some of the rebel pilots don't really give a shit about Leia. And then we have General Dodonna. Here, Leia kind of wants to do more, but she doesn't know how. There's a weird moment with Luke where she notices Luke is looking at her funny. And Luke basically says, when Obi-Wan died, you let me lean on you. I wish you would lean on someone else. It's a weird sexual tension moment, but you know, whatever. She goes to see Admiral Akbar. Now, Admiral Akbar we don't actually see until Return of the Jedi, but he's a really cool character, Mon Calamari. So I'm glad that they've kind of woven him into the story here. And she wants to see General Dodonna. Admiral Akbar is, you know, kind of otherwise engaged, but she goes in, she sees the general. She wants to do more, but the general basically says, you can't, you're wanted, there's a bounty out for you. You've got to be really careful, just keep your head down. At this point, she runs into a pilot by the name of Ivan, and it turns out that Ivan is actually from Alderaan, and recognizes that Leia is now the princess, or the queen, I should say, of Alderaan, but she's very bitter about everything. Leia kind of admires her honesty and lets her know that Leia wants to go through the galaxy and collect other people from Alderaan so that the culture and everything doesn't die. She feels responsible, so she's kind of going to basically just go and collect all these Alderaanian refugees. Yvonne signs on to the mission. She lets General Dodonna know through a ruse. She sends R2 to deliver the message, but it's not R2, it's a hologram of him, because she's taken R2-D2 with her. At this point, they kind of leave Yavin 4, because the rebels know that it's a target now, so they've got to get the fuck out of there. Like I said, this is between episode 4 and episode 5. So the rebels are kind of planning to find a new base of operations. Evan is piloting the ship. At this point, Dodonna has sent Luke and Wedge Antilles to intercept them. Evan basically does this ploy where she lets Leia believe that part of the hyperdrive has been dislodged, so that Luke and Wedge will kind of back off, because they know that without the hyperdrive, they can't get out of the system. It is a ploy that she concocted with R2, and the hyperdrive is working fine, and they end up heading off into hyperspace. At this point, Yvonne and Leia aren't particularly friends. Yvonne is treating her more like the ruler or the monarch that she actually is. And that is the end of issue 1, which leads us into issue 2, where they are conversing while having a meal. So they're in like the rest area, I guess, of the ship. And Leia has a flashback of her father, Bail Organa, letting her know that the skills of a leader, like, we have to show that the little things matter, basically, which I thought was pretty cool. And when she comes out of this, they decide to head to Naboo, where there are apparently some Alderaanian refugees. We cut to a club in Naboo where there's like a musical group that plays solely through holograms. And the person that kind of negotiates this is from Alderaan. They land on Naboo, where they get past Imperial security. But at this point, Leia is recognized by Lord Jun, who is from Alderaan. And Lord Jun kind of lets her know where this musical group is, what the club is. He says he's going to help her out. We do get some flashbacks of Padme as Queen Amidala, or Senator Amidala, whatever. So Lord Jun is kind of giving them the lowdown. Yvonne, as Leia's protector at this point, is very suspicious. They go to the club. At this point, one of the singers comes out and says, "I need to speak to my sister via hologram communication." And the Alderaanian that's keeping them kind of in this area tells her that's a bad idea. She should go back and practice her music. So while that's happening, Leia goes to the club. She is confronted with some gangsters. The Alderaanian that is there recognizes her. The gangsters try to take her captive, but of course, Leia being Leia, with Ivan being Ivan, they don't succeed in their mission. The woman who was kind of the go-between between the singers and the club begs Leia's forgiveness. She feels like she used these fellow Alderaanians, and Leia is like, if you're keeping the music alive, you're keeping the culture alive, it's all good. Don't worry about it. She realizes that Lord Jun had set her up, so she goes back to Jun and demands that he give her a ship that can get these Alderaan refugees off the planet Naboo, which he obliges with. At this point, we find out that one of the singers, Trace, or Tace, or whatever, is talking with her sister and letting her sister know exactly what's going on. However, her sister is an Imperial. So this is how the Imperials are now following Leia and Ivan on their mission to rescue these Alderaan refugees. At this point, the ship that Lord Jun gave Leia is orbiting the planet Sullust. Now, those of you that have seen Star Wars will know that a Sullustan is the co-pilot of the Millennium Falcon during Lando's run on the Death Star in Return of the Jedi. That's what a Sullust looks like. We find out that there is a refugee camp deep within the bowels of the planet Sullust, run by the Preserver, and Leia and Ivan go down to meet this woman with a guide, but they are met with hostility. The Preserver doesn't believe she is who she is. Leia quickly disarms the guide, and they go into this refugee camp. The Preserver, however, is still very hesitant that Leia Organa is who she says she is. Leia basically lets her know, okay, this is the deal. I'm here to get you guys off planet, to rescue you. The Preserver questions that, and Leia says, listen, here's my ship, here's the details. You can go and check it out for yourself. It's all good. At this point, the Preserver turns on them, believing them to be Imperial spies. So Leia and Ivan escape. They head down into the bowels of Sullust. At this point, the Imperials have picked up the signal from the sister who was on board the ship and letting her Imperial sister know what was going on, unbeknownst to her. So naturally, Leia and Ivan are believed to be traitors working with the Imperials. So they decide to basically get the fuck out of there. They head down into the bowels of Sullust and let R2-D2 know exactly what is going on. The Protector chick lets everyone know that Leia is a traitor to Alderaan and she should be killed on sight. At this point, the Imperials gate crash this Alderaan refugee camp. Leia, being in the underneath it, in the bowels of Sullust, basically decides to utilize rock renders, these giant creatures that basically eat minerals, and she manages to guide them up, and they will attack the stormtroopers because of the stormtroopers' armor. thus saving the Alderaan refugees from the Imperials. And it's at this point that the protector of these refugees acknowledges that Leia is who she says she is. The Imperials are freaking out because they lost 2 squads. And Leia basically lets her know that there's a spy somewhere in their midst, and she has to find out who it is. So we move into issue 4, where Evan is reunited with Nien Nunb. Now, for those of you that don't know Nien Nunb, he is a very famous character in the Star Wars films. As I said, Sullustan was the co-pilot when Lando Calrissian made his run on the Death Star in the Millennium Falcon during Return of the Jedi. That co-pilot, Nien Nunb, this character right here. We find out he's a smuggler, that he's been able to get through Imperial lines. He has weapons and whatnot, and he is working with the Rebel Alliance to arm them. At this point, the Protector has discovered that Tace is the spy, so to speak. She is the one who has been communicating with the Imperials, even though we know that the Imperial was her sister and she wasn't aware that her sister was an Imperial. Leia intervenes at this point, which causes a friction between her and the Protector. Tace kind of admits everything, and Leia comes to the decision that she is going to give herself up to the Imperials so that Tace's sister can be exchanged in return, like a hostage negotiation situation. At this point, they are at a planet with more Alderaan refugees. Leia tasks this to the Protector and another woman. It's your job to go down there and make sure the refugees come back with us. Tace is telling Leia, you don't have to do this. Leia says, yes, I do. They get down to the planet and they discover on the planet Esperion that the Alderaan refugees have kind of crossbred with the aliens of this planet, thus making them kind of Alderaanian half-breeds, which the Protector doesn't actually like. She thinks that's disgusting, and so the negotiations kind of go to shit. At this point, the Imperials know that the rebels are onto them, and Leia offers herself up as a trade for Tace's sister. Evan thinks this is a bad idea, of course. She gives R2 instructions, and then they agree to meet. The negotiations with the Alderaanian delegates from Esperion are not going well, and there is nothing that anyone can do or say that is going to change that. On the desert planet Scaradouche, do you do the fandango? No, I'm sorry. That was a very bad Bohemian Rhapsody reference. But the Imperials meet with Leia to trade off her for Tace's sister. At this point, a ton of ships have arrived at Esperion. Leia and the Imperial kind of have a back and forth while she lets Tace's sister know that you need to kind of do better. This isn't over. And that is the end of issue 4. Issue 5 has the negotiations completely falling apart on Asperion. But at the same time, a smuggler ship comes down to rescue Leia. Evan basically blasts the shit out of everyone, and they get Leia off of the planet. Leia sees that Nien Nunb is the one that is flying the ship. So because of his smuggling prowess, he has managed to get through Imperial blockades. And so they head off. The Imperials, of course, are fucking pissed by this. They want to destroy the ship, but Nien Nunb sends a decoy which gets destroyed instead, and Leia manages to escape. However, the Imperials are onto them, and they head immediately to wherever Leia is going, which is Asperion. Tace's sister meets up with her, is happy to see her, but Tace realizes that she's an Imperial and she has been using her this whole time and doesn't want anything to do with her. Leia confides in Evan and the Protector and all of those people that bad shit is going to happen and we're going to need Asperion's help. But she discovers that the negotiations failed and bad shit is coming down because they don't have the ships available. However, it is discovered that all of the ships that came to Asperion are Alderaanian refugees. They heard what Leia was doing and they all decided to come and kind of join in this fight. As a Star Destroyer enters the picture, Leia decides to give a plea to people, letting them know that Alderaan is not dead. As long as they live, it's all good. R2-D2, under orders, basically lets the Alderaanian delegates of Asperion know what she said. He transmits it down to them, and they join in the fight. And in doing so, they manage to take down the Star Destroyer in an epic battle. Of course, as everyone is celebrating, Leia lets them know, listen, you're Alderaan now, but I have to go back to the Republic. And she ultimately lets Evan know that they're friends now. Evan tells her, listen, we were friends. I know I was a bitch before, but now that I've seen how much you've sacrificed, I consider you a friend. And Leia is like, you have to keep the rebellion going here. You've got to keep the Alderaanians safe. And Leia returns to Yavin 4, knowing that she did good, and she meets up with Luke, Han, and Chewie, while the rest of the refugees plot a new course in their destiny. And that is Princess Leia, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 5. What did I think of this story? Art-wise, it was okay. Other Star Wars comics have much better art, but the art was okay. Story-wise, I really enjoyed this. I think Princess Leia is underutilized in the original trilogy. You get to see her in the Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. You get to see her used more, but in the original trilogy, she's supposed to be the youngest senator and a leader and all of that, and you never really get to see that come out. I think that isn't necessarily a problem in the films themselves, but with Hollywood mentality of that period where it was very difficult to show strong female leads. I believe Ripley from Alien was really the first strong female science fiction role model. But this is great. This shows Princess Leia in her full capacity. And it also shows that Alderaan, didn't die with the explosion of the planet, because obviously there were going to be people from the planet that weren't there when the planet exploded. It's Star Wars, it's a big universe. We never hear about any of them. But here we do. We see what they've done, what they're trying to do. We get a sense that the Empire is trying to wipe them out as well, which is a really interesting kind of aside. But all in all, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a really great graphic novel and well worth the read. And I love the mythology that it brings to the Star Wars universe. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, hit the notification button, all that good stuff. But most importantly, and I cannot stress this enough, stay safe. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and please read a fucking book, people.